Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of ArmTalk. I'm your boy, Chocolate Jody Williams, and today my guest is one of the guys that'll be on the main event card at the Arizona State Championship, April 23rd. I have Paul Passmore. Paul, once again, welcome back to the show.
I can't think of I've ever been doing better, to be honest with you. Life's great. I'm just eating it up. I'm enjoying every second. I'm unbelievably blessed.
Good. You should be. The Braves win the World Series. Georgia finally got that national title. Things is looking good for you guys, right?
It's been sweet. We've been very thirsty here in Georgia for some titles, and we just basically got our thirst quenched with a waterfall.
Good.
I'm a big Braves fan, and an unbelievable diehard, thick and thin Georgia Bulldog fan. It's just, I don't know why I love them so much. I just do, and I'm extremely passionate about them, and that's the way I've been my whole life since I was a little kid. And it's been exactly my lifespan since I was born in '79, and they won their last championship in '80.
Right.
Slightly after I was born. So it's been literally my lifespan since they've won one, and it was just, and to beat Alabama for it was even sweeter.
Well, I'm glad because I know you guys have been running to those guys, whether it be the SEC title game. I think you guys played another title game, and it's just been like you're coming up short. But now it's like, you know what? Tired of losing. Let's go ahead and get this championship, and let's ride off into the sunset.
I feel like the playground bully has been beating us up for years, and we finally grew big, grew strong, and stood up to them and beat them up. That's how I feel.
Yes, you did.
It's been D1. They single-handedly kept us out of about 4 national championships in the last 10 years. I mean, literally, without them beating us. And most of them were extremely action-packed, close games. So I've grown to really dislike Alabama, so it was extra sweet that they were the one we could beat for it.
Well, the tables have indeed turned, so congratulations on that. But
yes,
I didn't bring you on here to talk about the Bulldogs. I came here to talk about yourself. You got some things lined up. Before we get to that big match in April, don't we have Alabama State so you could show up? Isn't that taking place next month?
It is, February 12th. I would like to announce, if people are unaware, if you may be unaware, I've got a super match. Just talked to Glenn Brooks about it a couple days ago. I agreed to pull Austin Jaggers, left-handed, best of 5 in Alabama.
Now, didn't he just pull Wayne Withers up at that Virginia tournament not too long ago?
He did.
Okay.
Now he was able to beat Wayne left and lost to him right, but Wayne's not really a big left-handed guy yet.
Right.
I think he's working on that left and getting it up there. But his right's pretty elite, and his left's getting there. But it's a work in progress. But Austin's kind of that young stud. He's coming up. Young guy is actually a good friend of mine. I think the world of him. We've met in several tournaments. Matter of fact, we pulled each other. But for the national championship, I believe.
Nice.
At the 242 class, the last AAA national championship, I want to say back in 2018, 2019. And he's always been a tough up-and-comer, and his time's near. Hopefully I can keep him off me at least as he climbs the ranks. That's the plan anyway.
So how do you feel going into the match? Because this is just recently like you just got done talking to Glenn Brooks, right? And so this has just happened, right?
Glenn called me, and I think it's a personality flaw. I have a hard time turning down a challenge. If you call me out, you're going to be standing across from me pretty quick. That's the way I'm a fighting champion. That's just the way I've always been. I like a challenge. And I do see a challenge in him. He's a bad dude. I've pulled him several times. I'm undefeated against him both arms as it stands. Hopefully we can keep it that way. But I will say it makes it interesting. As we discussed last time, I'm doing my weight cut.
Right.
And it's going well. I'm not sure that I'll be able to make 242 by Alabama, but I started this weight cut, right after I pulled Carl. I was 280. He and I both weighed in exactly at 285 that day.
Right.
I'm down to 260.
Okay.
I feel like a different person. My cardio's getting better. I'm losing weight, and I don't feel like I'm losing strength. I'm keeping up with my numbers on my power pull table and all my handles, and if anything, I'm gaining a little bit of endurance with the same weight that I was pulling 6 or 8 times. I'm getting in the 10 to 12 rep range. I think just my heart's getting stronger for all the cardio, and I believe I'm a little more explosive. So if anything, this weight cut may have made me a little bit more deadly of a super heavyweight while I'm making the cut, because I'm not making it so fast that I'm depleting myself. I'm doing it real healthy. Right. I'm eating plenty of protein, getting plenty of cardio, and just eating real clean. I cut out all the, part of me being 285 was force feeding myself. So just going from force feeding to just eating normal, a lot of weight fell off and increasing the cardio. So I feel real good. I think my chances are really good against Austin, but I definitely want to make it known that I've taken him extremely serious, and I've actually been training really hard for him. If he beats me, it won't be because he caught me sleeping. Right. I don't underestimate anybody.
Well, you and I talked about this before. Last time we got, we had you on the show. We were talking about how, hey, it's time to start coming down in weight. I mean, just for overall health. And we also touched base on when someone wants to cut down, maybe to another weight class, there is that chance of losing some of that power as you go down. So you really got to find that happy medium, to where, okay, I want to be healthier. I want to be more explosive, but also want to keep my power. So sometimes you got to kind of, tinker with it a little bit just so you can find that happy medium and go, okay, this is where I need to be at, wherever that weight may be, right?
Exactly. Like, I know I'll make 242 this year, and there's still a chance. I'm still going to continuously cut weight to get there all the way up to Alabama. I'm not going to stop.
Right.
Just because Austin, I believe he's bigger than he's ever been. Been looked at some pictures of him recently. He looks absolutely jacked. So it'll be a whole different version of him than I've ever seen, I imagine. But I mean, every version I've ever seen of him, he's been pretty good. So I imagine this will be a Austin 2.0. I've got to pull, but I'm fully expecting that and ready for it. And anybody that's willing to stand across the table for my left arm, I've got respect for them anyway, just for the courage of doing that, because you got to have a lot of self-confidence to want a piece of that left. Because, I mean, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I think the proof's in the pudding. I proved he got a pretty bad left. And if he wants it, then he must have something that he's pretty proud of himself.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think now we are, man, I tell you what, 2022 came off like gangbusters, man, with all these matches being, set up and everything. I'm like going, man, it's just, and I don't know if you heard about, you might have been at work today, but since, I had today off, I was all on the social media and stuff and did a show and stuff like that earlier. But I was listening to Uncle John, because he's going to Arm Wars next week, actually, I think. Well, Neil Pickup is on there. Neil Pickup announced that Alex Kardecka will be pulling Jerry Cataret at Arm Wars in September this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I saw that and was like going, wow. And I think this is something that Jerry needs, because if I'm Jerry, especially the kind of caliber puller he is, and I'm looking over here going, okay, Michael's getting matches and Devin, then I look on this side, it's constantly, Chance Shaw and, Todd Hutchins, and the list goes on. And, even Tim Breslin and Derek Smith are locking horns at the end of this month. And one has to realize, hey, man, we're about you. So I'm glad Jerry's getting this opportunity. Although I would say, if I'm Jerry, I probably need, and I got to be careful when I say tune-up match, because I don't want to, say he just grab some scrub and then kind of just take him to the woodshed, because you really can't gauge yourself on that. What I would do is get somebody, a formidable opponent, and get on a table with them whatever the case may be, because you're going to need that, because the way Kordeka is, rising up the ranks and riding that rocket ship, man, he's coming for blood. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. What when I saw him do to Ryan Espy, Ryan Espy's a apex predator, and for him to just to go beat Ryan Espy the way he did, I was just like, wow, that's absolutely just massive man in the first place. It looks like the most Viking looking human I've ever seen, except for maybe half Thor Bjornsson, and he just epitomizes badassery, So when you see him, he looks like the type of guy that you just wouldn't want to run across the arm wrestling table. If you're a normal person, I'd love to pull him. But I'm excited about seeing him and Cataract. I got the pleasure, and it was a distinct pleasure, of meeting Jerry at Wall 505 when I got to pull Corey.
Right.
And Jerry pulled Toddzilla. And I got to meet him, talk to him, and he's just the coolest guy too. Super cool, just a beast. And the level of heart and competitiveness in the man. When I saw his nose start literally bleeding in the middle of the match, he was straining so hard. I was like, wow, that dude will absolutely fight you to the death, literally. That's when you're locked into that guy, I promise you, you're gonna have a fight on your hands. So. Wow, those two locking up is going to be something it's a treat for everybody that'll get to see it. And another match that I just saw that's extremely interesting to me for 100 different reasons is where Michael Todd has decided to lock up left-handed with Robbie Topi here recently. And for me, I'm extreme. I had an opportunity to pull Michael Todd left-handed right after I pulled Carl, but it was just 2 weeks later, and I didn't think it was a good idea to lock up with Carl and then 2 weeks later try to lock up with Michael. It just wasn't good timing for me. And if I pull somebody of that caliber, I need a little bit more time than 2 weeks in between. I believe that's what led to my injury on my right arm, was just too much of that. So
right.
I had to respectfully decline, but I one day would love a left arm match with Michael. So Robbie being a future opponent, and Robbie being one of the few people in the country that are ranked ahead of me left-handed, I actually have something to gain by this match, which is pretty cool. And then seeing him and Michael, which we're actually left-handed, we're both ranked above Michael, but Michael's left is definitely something to respect, and I think it's underrated highly, and he actually stands a chance of beating Robbie. Now my money's on Robbie because Robbie's just a killer left-handed, but I do think it's going to be very interesting. Michael has a very fast, hard press with that left.
Yes,
that it takes a certain skill set and amount of knowledge and power from some odd angles to be able to stop it. And you either have it or you don't. And if you don't, you're in trouble.
And I think what you said was on point. You got to have the angle. We got 4 people in the chat. No one said anything. We got 1 like. Hit the like button, y'all. What's intriguing about this is that now you got Robbie Topi and you got Michael Todd. And you, because you have a match with Robbie, is probably going, I'm highly invested in that. Which is funny because I have Robbie Topi later on this summer in June, and I'm highly invested in your match with Robbie. So Robbie got his work cut out for him, and I'm glad all these matches are happening. I'm glad and everybody's on the pay-per-view bandwagon, of some sort, because I'm telling you right now, 4 years ago, we wouldn't be at this spot right now. I think every organization or what have you, or promoter, offers something for everybody. So what I mean by that is that if you like what the East-West, if you're a big fan of that, you want to get on that card, you go to Ingen Terze. If you like Arm Wars, you get a hold of Neil Pickup, get in his ear. Maybe, you can show what you got, that kind of stuff. Paul Talia does stuff here in the States. You can get a hold of him, get that rolling. I've been on a couple of his events last year, had a blast. Hopefully I'll do another one, this year. King of the Table, there's another one, get a hold of Larry Wheels. So all these high profile matches are coming with these promoters, and now everybody's hopping on board with the pay-per-view and all the subs and that kind of stuff. And thank you, Troy, for hitting that like button. And it's just a good thing. Where do you see arm wrestling going now with everybody doing the pay-per-view thing?
Well, to me, it looked kind of like Larry Wills might have been the one to really get the pay-per-view rocking and rolling. I mean, you saw a little bit of that, but he's the first one that was able to get a successful pay-per-view where he generated a lot of interest, and it actually turned out successfully. He puts on a good event, and he can get some of the best big-name guys out there. And just a side note, I've publicly called out Larry a couple times left-handed. I'd just like to do it one more time on the show if he's ever down to bang left-handed. Just I know a guy. So anyway, yeah, I think it'd be a fun match for me left-handed. But yeah, I see him being probably the main one to take arm sport mainstream. And I say that I'm actually a fan of Larry's. Just as a person, he's a phenomenal freak athlete. He's got an amazing physique. He's a bodybuilder pro, and then he's got that going for him. And then on top of that, he's also a competitive, highly competitive power lifter. The man's strong as an ox. So normally you got bodybuilders and they're strong, but they don't stack up against power lifters. So the guy's just an absolute genetic specimen, just a freak of nature. He's an anomaly. And then you got a guy with that type of strength and genetics and drive, because it takes all that, even the drive. A lot of people say it's all genetics and stuff. No, you got to have a hell of a work ethic to build a physique like that and that type of power. And yeah, if you have the genetics with it, it's going to go even better. But for him to take on arm wrestling, with his financial backing, it's obvious that there's a lot of money behind that man. In Dubai, obviously, there's probably more than we could ever imagine, and his genetics and his drive, that he could potentially be one of the best arm wrestlers to ever walk the face of the planet. And if I understand, he's pretty young, relatively also. And if he sticks with it, A, he has all that going for him, and then B, he's flying in the best arm wrestlers in the world, every one of them. You name them, Devin, Levon, Michael, John, in training with the absolute best. So he's getting straight firsthand knowledge and training with the best ever a lot. He's best buddies with all of them now. He flies them to Dubai, learns from them, gets better every time, and I can see him progressing. So I'd like to get a hold of him before he gets to that unbeatable level that I see him getting to. But
right.
Yeah, such a massive following outside of arm wrestling that he has a unique ability to bring our sport mainstream more than anybody. Everybody knows who Larry Wills is.
Oh yeah.
And they know he's getting interested in arm wrestling, and he's shining light on it worldwide that it hasn't really had yet. And he's starting to do pay-per-views. If anybody can bring it mainstream, he might be our man.
Well, here's another important question, a serious one. Do you think, because he's doing awesome stuff, for the sport, but he's also 0 for 2, because, when it comes to King of the Table, at some point, he's going to be on the card. But so far, he's he has 2 strikes on him. Do you think, some people say, hey, maybe he needs a tournament? Or do we say, hey, put him in there with a 4-way? That way he may have some kind of, opportunity to win, because at some point, if you're in this sport, you can be very humbled by this sport. And if, you put every ounce of energy and training and that kind of stuff, and all of a sudden you're still coming up with losses, will that get to a point where it's going to wear thin on people, to where it's like, you know what? I thought I had what I had, but I don't, so I'm just going to walk away. And that would be a detriment to the sport. I mean, we'd bounce back, obviously, but I think because he's taking this to the next level, you would hate to see him, walk away because he can't get that W. What are your thoughts on that?
He's doing it backwards. think about it. When you started arm wrestling, when you first got into it,
yep.
Did you do a tournament or a super match?
Tournaments.
Right. So did everybody else.
Right.
Larry Wills, being Larry Wills, was able to jump into the deep end without ever learning how to swim. You've got to start out. What he needed to do was start out as an amateur in tournaments and just get that table time and experience in real matches with real refs against real people and gauge where he's at and come up like we did.
Right.
Instead, I mean, you have to earn the right, really, to have a super match or even there's people out there that won't call certain matches between certain people a super match. They'll call it a challenge match, but in order to call it a super match, you have had to earn the right, per se, to say it's a super match, if that makes sense. And
totally makes sense.
I somewhat agree with that, but he's jumping right into super matches and focusing on one guy when he should be just focusing on, I need to get in a good tournament, which him being in Dubai probably doesn't have access to the tournaments that we do in the States. But if somehow he could hit a few tournaments, just make it I'm sure the money's there.
Oh yeah.
Like earlier, but he can make it a point to hit just a few tournaments every year. It'd probably be a massive draw too. Just pull the tournament, see how he does. Start out literally in amateur. He's probably too good to pull amateur, but it might help him to do a one or two, and if he just obliterates everybody, then go pro and do lower level tournaments. And then that's kind of what I had to do when I broke my arm coming back. I'm hitting tournaments now that I wouldn't have hit before I broke my arm because it wouldn't have been a challenge. But now I'm having to put my right arm back on the table and just restart everything, go back up through the ranks like I did in these tournaments and rebuild myself and my mind and my confidence and pulling different people. And I think if he took it that way and progressed normally, then he'd be very successful if he could find a way to do that instead of jump right into super matches. You got to kind of earn the right to do super matches, and
right.
I don't think he.
And I'm sure, the
no
people.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, no disrespect to Larry, but I don't think he really thought it through and earned the right to really do these super matches without coming up through some tournaments first.
And I agree, and I'm sure at some point, some of the powers that be or the figureheads, I hate to even say that, in his camp will go, okay, let's try a different direction and go from there. But let's switch gears for a second. April 23rd. Now, not only are you pulling Robbie Topi, but there's a couple more matches that's already been announced on there. You also have Don Underwood, Wayne Withers. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because that will be also on the card at Arizona State.
I never got to pull Don. He's a bad man.
Oh, yeah.
I've pulled Wayne. I can tell you firsthand he's a bad man. Don's an extremely explosive, powerful guy. And when he's hitting, he's hard to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I think he presents a problem to anybody he pulls. Wayne is he's got a freakish hand. He's just a giant man when you're standing across the table from him. A lot of leverage, long arms. I don't see either one of them going like 3-0. I see maybe Don probably flashing him a time or two, but Wayne probably comes out on top. Probably in a battle. I think Wayne maybe makes some adjustments for Don's speed. Maybe even, I would say if Don hits and gets Wayne on his side of the table, it's over. But if he is unable to do that right off the hit, he's not going to win. And see, Don and I are a similar height, and that's not a good height to be to try to pull Wayne. I saw Corey expose a weakness with Wayne that I never knew he had. And Corey may be freakishly strong in that angle, but it looked like a good thing to try where he gripped Wayne low and posted really hard against his pronator and stopped all his momentum dead in the middle of the table and kind of turned him over in a hook and pulled him over.
Right.
And Wayne didn't seem to have an answer for that. So I haven't seen anybody else ever try to get against him. if I pull him again, I'm going to, even though my right isn't what it used to be, I would definitely be thinking about that walking up to the table.
I think all matches.
It could go either way, but I think Wayne wins it, if I had to say.
I think all the matches will end up in a strap because of the styles they pull. And like you just said, because that big long lever that Wayne has, it makes it difficult. And so you don't want to be that guy that holds on because you're going for a ride. So you would have to, if I were Don Underwood, this is how I would do it. Now, I'm not saying what my theory on how to pull Wayne is correct because I don't have the tools to get it done because I've had to pull with him before and there's nothing I can do because he has a steel rod wrist and arm, But I will say this, though. If one were had the strength that Wayne has, I would slip out every single time, get into the strap, and then I would apply down pressure right before the go. Because if you try to, load up with him, he's going to yank your elbow off the pad. So you're going to have a deficit right there of an elbow foul. So there's that. If you try to hold on, and try to catch him, you're going to catch him about 3 inches from the pad. So that probably, depending on who the ref is and what rules there are, that might be a loss too. So if I'm a betting man, which I am not, I would sit there. If I were to pull Wayne, I'd get into the straps, right? Cinch it down, but then I would apply so much down pressure and just drive forward to the side. And just try to open him up. That's the only way I see that you're going to do that to him. I could be wrong, but that's what I would do strategy-wise,
That makes a lot of sense. I made the mistake of holding on to him. I pulled him at Alabama State, I would say, probably when I was pulling my absolute best before I broke my arm. He pulled me on over. I caught him about 2 or 3 inches from the pad, and once he gets you there, you're not coming back out of it.
Right.
It's too much, man. You got a 300 plus pound, probably 6'7" or 8" gentleman laid down over there. The hand the size of a meat cleaver. You're not going to be able to pull that guy over.
Right. You also got Brent Rockers and you got Adam Brzezinski also on that same card, April 23rd. And I'm telling you, when I had Tim on the show last night and we were talking and brainstorming and stuff, and when you have these organizations, and in this case, it'd be Armed Sports Entertainment, when you have these organizations, and they're trying to do good things, it's not like sometimes having all these arm wrestling, I guess you could say figureheads, promoters and whatnot, that could be good, that can be bad. The bad thing is that, okay, well, guess what? Now we have tournaments almost every weekend in earshot distance. But the good thing is that you have tournaments all over in earshot distance. I mean, that could be a good or a bad thing, depending on how it is. Because Tim and I were talking, and on the same date as Louisiana State's, right? And his thing was like not trying to pull people away, but what's making his event a little different because, you got, I think, Jordan Seals pulling like Jonathan Breeder or something like that. But they're going to have their super matches first and then the tournament up at Louisiana State. Whereas over in a different time zone in Arizona, they're going to have the tournament first and then they're going to have the super matches, right? So a kind of a flip-flop deal. So that way you can really kind of go, okay, well, who did this? Who did that? And, with the pay-per-view, and we'll go back and use Ryan Bowen because, he was the first one to do it in the States anyway, and was like, okay, how about we do this? How about, Jaggers and Wayne Withers, which was kind of a throw-in match last minute. We all want to see Adair and Todd, Hutchings. You had the amateur one between Damon Ransom and Robert Kelly, and then Travis kind of put his stamp on there with El Cesar, kind of another last minute. And at the time, that seemed like, oh, I should get people, hey, you got to subscribe to Ryan Bowen, order it, $5, whatever the case may be. That was cool, I think this is where we're going now. Michael Todd now, he's getting his hat in the mix because, like you said, he's pulling Robbie Topi left hand. He has, he has some Ron Bath pulling Paul in. So I'm thinking, wow, and all that's happening at the Monster Factory, and it's going to be like, I don't want to say closed circuit, but ain't going to be no cameras there, all that kind of stuff. You got to order on pay-per-view through his channel, that kind of stuff. And he has another match too. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was involving Don Underwood. I'm trying to remember who else was it. I can't remember, but that's where we're going now in the sport. Now that could be good, that could be bad. It's almost to where, and I was talking to one of my teammates today, where how we all talked about, hey man, everyone wants to be, a broadcaster, podcast. That's me. I chose to pick this route, but I do stuff a little differently. Whereas you get somebody else who, because before I YouTube, I was all Facebook and I had tons of people on there. I'm having trouble getting everybody to more. Let's just say Tim Thomas goes, hey, Jody, I want you to film my event. Cool. But now everyone's doing it. So you kind of go, all right, well, do I have exclusive footage? Because let's just say you go there and Brad Cook's there, he films, or MBK there, Joseph Drellick, he films. My teammate Donald Cruz, he films. Everyone's there. But the problem you got is that when the event's all said and done, now it's a race. Who can get their stuff up first? Because once you see it one time, it's not going to be as dramatic as you see it from a different point of view, unless you just love the sport and want a different, view from it. Your thoughts on that?
I'll say one thing I've noticed. It'll be a dry spell, and then suddenly you'll have every tournament stacked right on top of each other, and you got to make a decision, or you'll have to pull 2 tournaments, 2 weekends in a row, or just pick between one or the other. Like, I had an option. Jonathan Brady is like my little brother. I love the dude to death. He's like family. He called me, and he said, hey, you want to pull Corey West left-handed? Now, that 6 months ago, that would have been my dream match. Anybody could pick number one. Yes, Corey, because I guess I still do, a huge issue with him being ranked one above me left-handed.
Right.
Just real quickly, I'm undefeated against him left. I understand he's a bad man. He's accomplished a lot, but, in order to be ranked above somebody, I believe you should have to beat them for it. And he's never defeated me left-handed on the table. So I declined. And the reason I declined is I'm committed to going into the 242 class, and I want to leave supers behind me.
Right.
And I've been wanting to do that a while, and every time I turn around, it's, hey, do you want to pull this guy? And I'm like, well, I don't need to cut weight if I'm going to pull that monster. So I declined because my commitment to getting to 242 and I want to attack that class was strong enough to keep me from going after a beautiful match that everybody knows our rivalry. He's a really a great guy, hell of a competitor. He's a monster. I think it would have been an amazing match, but the timing just was horrible because I'm making my cut, and there's no way I'm going to pull Corey West while I'm cutting weight. So it was a very difficult decision. It tore me up for a couple of days, and finally I just had to let Jonathan know I'm not down for it.
Right.
So then, but I still wanted to support Jonathan's tournament. And then the next thing I know, I get an opportunity to pull Robbie Topey. And the interesting thing there, the reason I jumped all over it, is Robbie Topey and I are both cutting weight. So that's a 242. Neither one of us are ranked at 242 right now. We're both ranked, I think, top 6 or so left-handed in one of the rankings. I think top 8 or so in the other ranking left nationally. And we're both cutting to 242. And by the time we pull, we should both be in that class.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll have national ranking implications. So it makes sense. And that's why I made my decision to go after Topey, because I want to become a top-ranked 242, and that's my goal. And so it was a tough decision because I wanted a piece of Corey really bad. And I've been wanting a piece of Michael really bad, and I had to turn down a match with him too because I didn't want to try to pull him 2 weeks after I pulled, Carl Stanley, who's another monster. I mean, think about it. You really don't want to pull anybody right after you pull Carl. He's just
but like you said on the show, when you were on the show last time, you said by you dropping a weight class, it opens up more opportunities to pull different people. So yeah, it might have hurt you inside that you had to say, hey man, I love you, man. I would love the opportunity to, pull Corey again, but this is not where I'm at. There's no shame in that because
Yep.
you said on this show last time, and even at the time, Carl Stanley agreed because he was in the chat. When you guys are cutting to the next weight class down, there's more opportunities to pull different people. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Nothing at all is wrong with that. And by the way, thank you, Arm Sports Entertainment. The third match on the Michael Todd card was Don Underwood versus BJ for Caucus. There's your other one.
Yeah. Now that one's, I imagine they're pulling left, and well, I mean, if it's only he's pulling Wayne and BJ on the same card, he's obviously going to have to pull one with one hand and the other, or is he pulling them both right-handed?
Well, Don is pulling BJ at Michael Todd's, but he's also pulling Wayne at the same event you're going to at Arizona State. So,
you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I misunderstood.
Yeah, but it's just like when you see these matches, you can't help as an arm wrestler and go, dude, I got to be a part of that. Whether you're on the card, whether you're at the tournament, or just want to be there, because I'm telling you, because we all know after the event is all said and done, then we have the after pull. That's when everyone's getting on the table, we're exchanging information, and contact, numbers, all that kind of stuff, and just chit-chatting, talking, the sport, water cooler talk, that kind of stuff, and those are the good things. I think we're at a point now where it's not a bad thing to have in arm wrestling. It's really not. I love the fact that we can do that kind of stuff, and we need more of it. But again, man, we sit back and you do this and go, okay, now what's the next event? What's the next event? There's so many out there that there's times I get so wrapped up into that, I forget that, oh yeah, this match is coming up. Oh yeah, this match is on that date. I get like this, and I'm like going, oh, I forgot about that. Because I got so much going on in my brain. So it is what it is. But the fact that you get to go to Arizona, it's going to be awesome. Hopefully, I can maneuver some things, and maybe I can make the trip down there, and so I can see it firsthand. If I do get down there, rest assured, ArmTalk will be on the road, and I'll have to get all you guys, with some interviews and stuff, so we can sit there and chit chat. But I'm excited for this event, and I'm glad you get to be a part of it.
And I hope you can make it. I'd love to meet you in person. That'd be great. It'd be an absolute pleasure to meet you in person. I want to ask you a question. What were your thoughts on the Toddzilla and Lachlan match?
I think that match should have happened 2 years ago, honestly. It's almost like, first of all, I'm a firm believer one match shouldn't have anything to do with the other. So prior to this, all you heard, from Toddzilla and Lachlan Adair is that, well, if Todd beats Lachlan, then REJ is going to cream Ryan Bowen. I don't think it's fair to sit there and match one match when it has nothing to do with the other. But I thought this match should have happened 2 years ago. I understand the COVID restrictions. I understand that at the time, Australia guys couldn't leave their country. Totally get all that. I thought, though, that, and it's still a thing, we're going to find out with Ryan RVJ, but I thought when October, I believe it was the 23rd, I believe, because Tim Thomas and I were in Kansas City for the Fallen Heroes event, and we were at the bar actually watching Ladair versus Ryan Bowen. And even that was a whitewash 6-0 Lachlan Adair victory. It still didn't tell me anything. And I'm like, I was still waiting to go, okay, but he's pulling, if he's the best in the country, and, it's between him and Ryan Bowen, there's a real weight difference. And if that's all they got to offer, that doesn't tell me anything about Adair until he came here. So I was kind of glad the match happened. I think it should have happened a long time ago, but I was glad when the match was over, it kind of told me where Adair was. I don't think he's ready yet. Maybe if he pulls somebody like a Mike Aiello or somebody like that, or maybe, if he bulked up and pulled somebody like I would say Carl Stanley, but you guys are coming down in weight, and he's pretty much sitting up there at 250, 260. But, you get guys like that. You get guys like maybe Corey West might be too much for him. I would love to see, Adair versus, one level down, your Chance Shaws, your Derek Smiths of the world, those kind of guys. And I'm not, take anything away from those guys, but when you go straight to Todd Hutchings, I mean, we're talking the cream of the crop. If you get annihilated, 6-0, whatever the case may be, take a step back down and go, okay, if you really want to know where you're at against the States, then take your pick at the next level down. Now, I honestly think if Adair really wants to prove himself, then he needs to get a hold of Neil Pickup and go, dude, is there a way I can get on the Arm Wars card? That's what my honest opinion is, because then we'll see where he's at from a international world standpoint,
Interesting story I have for you about Adair. Travis gave me a call.
Okay.
Me and Travis talked. He's a buddy. And he said, "Hey, Paul." He told me this before it was announced. He said, "Hey, Lachlan's coming in. I'm flying him in. He's going to pull Todd Hutchings." I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That's a long time coming. They've got a bit of a heated rivalry. I'm excited to see that. Lachlan looks like a bull.
Mm-hmm.
Should be interesting, but I don't think Lachlan's ready for Todd." And Travis was like, "Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and Travis is more into the promoting side now." And I said, "But that's going to be one to see." He said, "Well, the reason I was calling you is I'm not too far from you, and I was wondering if maybe we could set something up for him here in Atlanta, and maybe you could get a venue going."
Right.
He said, "You have any ideas?" I said, "Me and him have actually talked about it. It hadn't been in depth, but there's been a little banter over the past couple of years about me and him having a left-handed match."
Yeah.
And he expressed some interest, and I also did. And I said, "Well, hey, if he said he's going to pull Toddzilla and he'll be down another week or two, and then right before he leaves, he could, pull somebody in Atlanta, and he's interested, and maybe Ron too." I said, "Well, ask him if he's interested in pulling me left, and if he is, then we'll set it up, and I'd love to pull him." And I said, "But if he isn't, let me know, and I'll ask. Ron's one of my best friends, and I said I'll ask Ron if he's interested in pulling him right, because my right, just it wouldn't be up to par for somebody on that level, yet. I put 100 hours into it, but my right's not ready, my left is. The challenge was there." He said, "Well, before you reach out to Ron, just let me ask him, and I'll get back with you."
Right.
I never heard another word. So I guess he just didn't want it.
Well, some secret admirer says that you sound pretty hot and sexy, so I'm gonna let that be. So
I could take one guess on who that.
But I do like the fact that where everyone's going since you're on the show. Like I said, you have a super match at Alabama State. You got one in April on the 23rd, against Robbie Topi. And what does the rest of the calendar year look like for you?
Right now, that's all I have planned and committed is Alabama State. My initial plan was just to pull the tournament, but like I said, I can't say no to a good challenge, so I went ahead and accepted my challenge with Austin Jaggers, and I'm gonna pull him, and I still intend to pull the tournament afterwards, and then see how that goes. And then Arizona, it's going to be just changing gears. I don't want to pull a bunch of tournaments in between. I want to focus my diet, nutrition, training, cardio on coming down to 242.
Right.
I believe Topi will also be there. That way it's actually a 242-pound class implication match, and there's a chance that I may be able to do something in Alabama State if I can. I'm 50-50 on whether I'll actually make 242, but I'm going to be a little lighter than I am now at the very least.
Okay.
But if I do make 242, which isn't out of the question, I could possibly there's a few people that may end up being there in the tournament. If I can meet them first round, fresh on fresh, that'll get me on paper ranked. And so we'll see how it goes. I may be able to be ranked at 242, and then maybe Robbie also is coming down to that way. Maybe he can knock off somebody that's ranked, and then our match could actually mean something ranking-wise. It'll be a meaningful match for both of us in the rankings. And mine and his left have been on a collision course for a while, and I think, whether it's super heavyweight or 242, it's a match that needs to happen. So it will, and I'm extremely excited about seeing Arizona too. I just love to travel. It's my favorite. So that's somewhere I've never been, and it's one of my bucket list places. So that'll be really cool.
Well, good. I'm looking forward to it. My friend, it is chow time for me. I know you probably already had dinner, but I'm about to get a bite to eat with the family. So I want to thank you for coming on the show and give us your tidbits about what you got going on and stuff. Sounds like in the next few months or so, you got a loaded schedule. I know you're going to be training hard with the focus, and hope I can make it down to Arizona so I can watch that match in person. My friend, thank you for being a guest on the show. And as always, man, we'll talk to you soon. What do you think?
Absolutely, brother. Like I said, always, it's an honor and a privilege to be on your show. I appreciate it. And if you do make it to Arizona, the first beer is on me, brother.
Sounds good, my friend. I'm going to let you go so you can do your thing. Tell the wife and kids I say what's up, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Talk to you soon.
All right, take care. So, Austin Jaggers, Paul Passmore, Alabama State, Arizona State will come up in April. He's taking on Robbie Topi left hand. Oh, I can't wait for that. That's going to be interesting. Like I said, if I can make it down there, if I can get everything like that and make it down there, ArmTalk is going on the road. So we're going to do all that. But again, hey, thanks for all my guests this week. Tim Thomas was a guest last night. Paul Passmore was a guest tonight, and I'm excited, so Arm Wrestle is going into a good spot. Everybody just hop on and enjoy the ride. So until then, I'm going to be looking for my next guest. But as always, I see you when I see you. Y'all take care now.